Hey everybody, welcome back to Suzerain. So there's some news on the world stage, let's check it out. Firstly from the Contana Security Pact. Contana Security Pact leaders discussed Helgeland at the Halem Summit. So, Helgeland, can I move? Oh, no. Why can't I move where I want to be? I believe it's the little island there between England and Vlagsland. So the CSP is supporting the Valgsland, not Vlagsland, Valgsland people. This is one thing that annoys me. I should be able to minimize this or move the map. Let's see what else. We see Arcasia builds a military base in Lesbia. So there is now an Arcasian military base just to the south of us. And the president of Arcasia visited Lesbia last week to engage in talks with the prime minister. So Edo is kind of right on our doorstep now. As a part of the agreement, a large military base will be constructed on Ravnos Island. The base will be equipped with Arcasian radar and anti-air systems for enhanced security. Additionally, Arcasia plans to deploy a dozen M3 ballistic missiles, their new ballistic missiles. The base is expected to accommodate approximately 200 strategic bombers and jet fighters, along with an estimated 20,000 Arcasian soldiers. I kind of wish we had that to protect us. And then there was I didn't want to come over here. There was a mine disaster in Morbol. A coal mine collapsed. So there's the little island that the Kami, Valgsland, and Agnolia are kind of fighting over. Right now it's Agnolian, but they both want it. The CSP is supporting them. Right here, that's us. There's Lesbia that now has an Arcasian base right there on Ravnos. So Edo and the CSP are getting closer and closer to each other through proxy states. What else we got going on? Young Swords member found decapitated. Oh, nothing to lose your head over. Ha ha! Too soon? The Astored Police Department found a decapitated body in an abandoned house where the victim was later identified as Kurg Linke, a high school teacher and a member of the local Young Swords Cultural Center. The victim was discovered to be tortured with hot iron rods before his tongue was cut off. Police suspect the red youth are responsible for the incident. The incident has not been made public. Go make it public. I don't care. And then some news. Oh, 3 fucking reports. Repeal of the Energy Act of 1932 fails. We saw that last time. That was killed in the Congress. NFP on reforms. That's the National Front Party, the ultra-conservatives, has announced today that the NFP is completely against any threshold reform. That's changing the threshold to get representation in Congress. Currently it's at 10%. The NFP doesn't want that changed because they don't want commies getting seats or bloods. And the Workers' Right Bill nears completion. The Workers' Right Act of 1954, proposed by Elben Claven. Why does everybody have such difficult names to pronounce? He's in our party. He's a reform member of our party, and he's very pro-worker. So he's got a bill that's almost done. He said that for his faction support, that part of the USP, he needs, even though it's our own party, he needs us to support this bill. We probably will. We'll have to see what the bill says. But more importantly right now, we are busy in Narbel on our trip. Oh man, we gotta meet with Manger and Alphonso on the Gassam situation. Before we do that, let's look at what's going on regarding the strike in the area and Gassam's internal problems. Labor strike at Gassam. Blue-collar workers at Gassam and Narbel have initiated a labor strike. This industrial action follows disagreements over wages, working conditions, and workers' rights. The strike has resulted in a temporary disruption to Gassam's operations. The duration of the strike and the potential impact on Narbel's local economy are currently uncertain. Negotiations between Gassam management and the striking workers are reportedly ongoing. Is that why we're here? We're also here for other meetings. CSP, the Communist Party of Sordland, and the LUS, the Labor Union of Sordland, strike against Gassam. They've organized a strike, we already know that. Prominent figures like Katerina Horton and Dennis Staller have confirmed their participation. The impact of the strike on Gassam's operations, we already knows that, is unseen, or remains to be seen. I think we'll find out very shortly when we go meet with the heads of Gassam right now. After a series of intense meetings with Sierra, oh man, that bitch would never stop talking, and Pascal, I decided to take some much-needed rest to recharge. Lucien and Peter were laboring tirelessly in the capital, united democratically leaning reformers for the crucial task of drafting a new constitution. Meanwhile, Gus Mainster had invited me to visit the Gassam headquarters in Narble. It was situated in Ornoble, a neighborhood on the city outskirts. Next to it was the Dayami Gas Reserve, a prominent natural gas source consisting of 4 large fields. As our motorcade made its way through the Ornoble district, I noted the neighborhood's state of disrepair. The roads were bumpy and marked by potholes, while the buildings surrounded us, they appeared run down and dilapidated. The community had apparently endured a prolonged period of neglect. We came to a halt at the entrance of the gates of the facility. A sizable mural depicting the Gassam logo had been painted on a nearby wall. Adjacent to the mural, a group of individuals wearing blue work vests had assembled, holding what looked like protest signs. Serge skillfully parked the car, bringing our journey to a smooth and elegant conclusion. Serge, you are the best. Gus greeted us warmly as we stepped out of the vehicle.
Good day, President Rayne. Welcome to Gassam's Narble operations. I trust Ministers Walda and Benawal didn't overwhelm you with their demands.
Were those the 2 shitheads I talked to before where Sierra never shut up? Pascal was alright. I don't want to bitch about them, but I need to be more professional, right? Because Gus, though he's a minister in our administration, our cabinet or whatever, he technically owns a bunch of shares of Gassam, so he really has conflicting interests. So he's not necessarily on our side, though he should be. Good to see you, Gus. I wanted to talk to you about what we can do to help the development here.
Perfect. That's exactly what I hope to accomplish during today's discussions. My job is to improve the conditions of places like this. Mr. President, I've been brainstorming a little something. The Groony Rural Investment Plan. I reckon it's got the potential to breathe new life into our rural communities out in Groony.
More government handouts? Have you not seen the budget, Gassam?
We could consider a few things. For starters, we could give the farming business a boost with some subsidies. Or we could steer towards modernizing existing farms with machinery and tech.
Why's the government gotta pay for that shit?
Or here's another thought. We could pour reserves into developing crop breeds tailor-made for Groony conditions. If it works out, we could roll this across all of Sordland.
He kept talking as he guided me into the Gassam building.
Mr. President, I get the appeal of that green bill that's been making the rounds in the Assembly. But I'm telling you, if we put the brakes on that and funnel those funds into the Groony plan instead, we could make some real strides without spooking any potential investors.
I honestly don't want to spend money on any of this. We don't have a ton of money. It's a tough call, Gus. I need to weigh the environmental implications and the economic benefits.
That's all I'm asking for, Mr. President. Just give this plan a fair shake.
Our talk was interrupted by a noise coming from outside the building. We looked out the nearest window. I can't hear this because I don't have my headphones on. A sleek helicopter was cutting through the sky, sunlight glinting off its polished surface as it descended towards us. On it was our next appointment, former President Ewald Alphonso. Man, Alphonso sure knows how to make an entrance. I came here in a car.
The man loves his theatrics.
Oh, does that mean I can get theatrical in the meeting?
Before we meet him, I want to bring up one more piece of assembly business. The workers' rights bill? Look, I'm all for giving hard-working folks what they deserve.
Are you? Are you? Because you own a lot of shares in Gassam, if I recall correctly, and this place around here is a shithole.
I'm all for helping hard-working folks out. Get what they deserve. But isn't it a bit hasty to push this while we're still stuck in a recession? The way I see it, short-term wins might end up costing us big time in the long run.
I disagree with him. The best way we can get money back into the economy is by having good-paying jobs. So Gus... I don't know. What do I say? Do I say it's time we put people before profits? I don't think he's going to give a shit about that. I can say, you've got a point, Gus. No, I'm going to take the hard line. I'm here for the workers. Interesting perspective, Gus. But in my book, workers' rights aren't up for negotiation, no matter the economic climate. Plus, if workers make more money, that money goes into the economy. How many bananas did you buy this week, Gus? Like, how many can you buy maximum? You're not going to help the banana economy. Your money's just going to sit in a bank account, or in stocks or bonds.
Mr. President, I respect your stance, but let's not forget about the potential fallout. There's got to be a way to improve workers' rights without rocking the economic boat. Please, come this way. Ewald and I have some exciting news to share with you.
You fixed your shithole of a company?
I have faith that you won't leave us hanging.
Uh-oh. That sounds ominous. That sounds very ominous that he wants something. I think I'm going to cut to the chase. Right here. The fact you managed to get Rizia entangled in this is surprising.
I hate to brag, but I was the one who opened the gates in the Port Drazan after nearly 32 years of frozen, swordish Rizia relations.
There's the Kingdom of Rizia, the DLC. So something... Are you going to try... They have a big natural gas company down there, too. Are you going to get them to try and buy part of Gassam? The bill to sell to foreigners has got shot down by Congress. I hope that's not what they're pitching me.
Rizia and Sordland were considering a full embargo until Alphonso and I came along. We made history with the 1950 and 1953 deals. You might remember the latter agreement prevented a depression just 8 months before the election.
That sounds like a threat, motherfucker. I could say, I doubt Rizia had such an impact. I could say, how a development minister came to lead such initiatives is beyond me. I think I'm going to do this. Alphonso, he was president at that time, was the one who nearly brought the depression on us in the first place. Gus.
It was more complicated than that. Obstructionists in the institutions halted critical policies that could have avoided us the recession. Yes, the privatization and the cancelization of old policies was too fast and too radical, but that wasn't it. The geopolitical pressures on the market were significant.
He pushed open a door. We walked down yet another hallway, seemingly in the direction we'd just come from.
Like a maze, isn't it? That's Quinali architecture for you.
The hallways were lined with doors. Glass panels in them revealed workers in suits and ties, many of foreign origin, busy in their pristine offices. A stark contrast to the blue-collar workers outside working with machinery, transportation, and maintenance. I'm not going to ask why there's so many workers from abroad. I assume we have too many stupids in our country. I will point this out. The white collars seem to be having it good in here, while the majority are out working in the cold.
Oh, the equipment provided is high standard. I've seen it for myself. Besides, there will always be differences between workers.
Yes, there will be, but if their kids can't afford shoes, that might be a problem.
Ah, here's the elevator. Ewald ought to be up there already. There's a separate entrance by the helipad.
Oh, good for him. Like I give a shit. We stepped into the elevator. Gus punched a code and we began our ascent. Help! This tiny room is moving!
Let's do this.
The doors opened.
Here we are. Ewald, my friend.
Ewald Alphonso stood up from his chair. He had on a perfectly tailored suit that he wore as casually as pajamas. It would have been more impressive if he just wore his pajamas to the meeting. That's what I think. Gus, you old devil.
Oh, it takes one to know one. As promised, I've brought our guest of honor.
President Rayne, I hope you enjoyed seeing our facilities here. You know, I'm just going full bore. Everywhere else I've been diplomatic. I'm not going to be. We come from poor and humble backgrounds. We see the poor and humble people of this area being abused, manipulated, used. The facilities appear to be in much better shape than the city around them, Ewald. You should have seen Narbo before Gassam came here. The jobs it generated have had a lasting, positive effect.
It's true. Things here could have been a lot worse.
That's not exactly a ringing endorsement, is it? Please have a seat. Let's talk. Yes, let's do that. We sat down. Some snacks and drinks were served. I love snacks and drinks. Multiple Gassam yearly financial reports were scattered on the table between us. President Rayne, I'm here because we have a great opportunity on our hands. A business arrangement that will benefit Gassam and Sordland alike. I also happen to believe that the current and former presidents of Sordland should stick together and share our experiences. Not everyone has been in our shoes, you know. You been wearing my shoes? At least I can tell my wife if they stink. Ewald was wearing them. I'm gonna go to the middle one. Presidents sticking together? That's an interesting notion. I don't think that's ever happened in our country's history. Indeed, it is a very interesting notion, President Rayne. It's a shame that politics often stand in the way.
Could do with a bit more of that, couldn't we? Former presidents, current presidents, all pulling together for Sordland?
Yeah, you go out to Tarkin Soul's creepy mystery island and see if he wants to come over and hang out. As we discuss the future of Sordland, it is paramount that I comprehend your vision. My vision is no more stupid meetings. Ugh. The trajectory you set for this country will inevitably impact not just Gassam, but also Sordland's position on the global stage. I confess, I've been following the news from the Maroon Palace closely since leaving office. I am heartened that your economic interests seem to align with mine. We are both free market proponents, I guess. Even more so that you have chosen to align with the West. I do agree with you on that. I agree with you that. It's a path I considered while drafting my foreign policy. Alright, so maybe we don't agree. I made a decision. He could have done that when he was president, and now after the fact, he's like, yeah, I agree with you after the fact. Maybe if you'd done it, you'd still be president. On the other hand, I have not heard any indication of your leanings regarding the Kingdom of Rizia's interest in investing in Gassam. I don't think it fucking matters. Congress just shut that shit down, bro. I don't know what to say. I'm not worried about foreign entities right now because they can't buy it, so I have yet to receive a comprehensive briefing on the matter. And by comprehensive, I mean short. Do you know how long Sierra talked to me? I don't want to really... Yeah, you were president. You probably had to deal with that bitch at one point. I prefer to maintain a careful approach and not make premature commitments. I like to keep that for my ejaculation. Haha, right, boys? I don't know what you mean.
That's a little creepy, sir.
Yeah, penis. I respect your prudence. But let us not forget that fortune often favors the bold. Then how'd you get rich? Oh, zing! Zing!
Your concerns, Mr. President, remind me of a time when I was working with OMEC.
That's like OPEC. We're a member of it.
We were bringing in foreign investments to revitalize the local companies. There were protests, people who were scared of change, who thought we were selling out, but we weathered the backlash, stood by our decisions. Years later, those same people saw the benefits, the jobs we created, the growth we spurred. Change is always met with resistance, but in the end, it's the results that matter.
I would love to be like, that's a nice story, Gus, but it's an entire nation. I don't care, but I'm being a little more adversarial with Gus than I have been in the past, because I don't think he's on our side. He has a vested interest in Gassam doing well at the expense of the people, as we can see from this area. Change may be met with resistance, Gus, but it's our job to ensure that the people are with us on the journey. We are representatives of the people. We can't disregard their concerns.
I completely agree, Mr. President. The people are our greatest asset.
That's not what I said.
But remember, sometimes people don't know what's best for them until they see it. That's why we're here, to help them see a better future.
As Gus finished his point, we suddenly heard the faint wailing of sirens in the distance. He waited for the noise to fade before continuing.
Back to the topic at hand. It seems we are at a crossroads with Gassam. The numbers tell a tale of struggle and potential.
Oh, cut the shit, Gus. There ain't no need to sugarcoat it. Gassam's teetering on the edge of a cliff. Without significant restructuring, the firm risks plunging into insurmountable debt. Debt? That ain't good.
My old friend Ewald reached out to me for assistance out of respect for our shared history and my small stake in the company. I couldn't refuse. I've always believed in the power of networking, and I'm sure you've heard of Rusty Montoro, chairman and CEO of Rizian Royal Gold. Rusty and I go way back, and he's done quite well for himself.
So I see exactly what's going on here. These guys have run this company into the ground with their greed and incompetence. Now they want to get bailed out by selling shares to a foreign company. In fact, if I remember from our lore, when Ewald Alphonso was president, they changed the EPA to allow them to go from, I think it was like 10% of foreign ownership to 20%, something like that, so he could sell out and make money on that.
Back under Alfonso's government, I was able to broker a deal with King Romus Taurus, thanks to my connection with Rusty. It was a win for all involved.
You know what, with all due respect, Gus, I am not thrilled that you got Sordland in bed with the monarchy. The kingdom's connection to Rumburg isn't particularly reassuring either.
I hear your concern, but business doesn't always line up neatly with politics. Our deal with the Taurus family was purely about economic growth for Sordland.
Not protecting your own investment? Thanks to Gus's Rizian connections, investors from the kingdom are now interested in Gassam, a development that could steer us clear of the looming crisis. What crisis? Your incompetence? We've got an amazing opportunity here. The demand for gas is steadily increasing from both international partners and the Sordish state. All we have to do is ensure a consistent supply. Well, it sounds like you don't have any problems. It sounds like you have demand for your product. Good, go make some fucking money. Not so fast there, friendo. The trouble is that right now, some of our friends, or our fields actually, I like to think our fields are our friends. Some of our fields are operating at only half their capacity due to resource limitations. But we have significant potential for expansion, including 2 new fields that haven't even been tapped yet. Then go raise some money, dipshit. With the right amount of investment, we can expand resource extraction, effectively fulfill rising demand, and ensure long-term stability and profitability. But that requires us to be willing to take risks and weather the storm. Now that's a legacy worth striving for. Wouldn't you agree? No. I'm not intrigued by the untapped fields. It's not my fucking job. I'm not going to say I'm intrigued. I'm not going to say what happens if it doesn't pay off. I'm not going to ask, will it prevent them from downsizing? This is a corporate bailout. We already know from news articles that Gassam is being run incompetently. Giving them more money will not fix a damn thing. I've seen enough corporate bailouts and handouts to know that it's always the big businesses that benefit, while the common people are left to suffer. Gassam is not just another corporation. It is an essential part of the energy infrastructure that powers our nation. The sound of sirens briefly distracted us. Through the window, we saw police cars driving down the street adjacent to the gas zone. We redirected our attention to the meeting. Ewald looked at me.
I appreciate your visit today, and despite our differences, your willingness to meet me and meet with me is duly noted. Throughout my journey, I have held faith in collaborating with individuals who genuinely share my vision. The presence of the right allies amplifies our potential. Our discussion has prompted me to reflect on the significant gap that exists between us. Regrettably, this divide could pose challenges to the feasibility of any prospective business collaboration.
That's alright, I don't want to get in bed with you at all. Well, I'm not going to say it's a shame and there's potential. I don't want to work with this motherfucker. He's asking for a bailout. He's not asking for permits to maybe drill on public land and then spend some of that for the public good. And I don't really give a shit about saying we both got to keep to our principles. I am not here for your approval, Alphonso. My priority is Gus, and more importantly, the workers.
That sounds eerily like Mr. Soul would say when things didn't go his way.
Well, then you should be worried, shouldn't you?
Let's not get heated. I understand that tensions are high right now, but I have faith that we can find a solution that benefits everyone. However, for that to happen, I need to know, Mr. President, do you trust my judgment?
I cannot say yes. I'm not going to say I trust your advice. And I can say your judgment has been questionable, but no, Gus. I respect you, but I cannot trust your judgment in this matter. You seem to have a fundamental bias on this, because you own a part of the company, and yeah, no, this deal is rejected. You're not getting any money from the government. You can go fuck yourselves. I should have handled it a little more politely at the end.
Fair enough, Mr. President. I gave it my all.
Well, we both tried, it seems. Still, I appreciate the discussion, Mr. President.
Well, no problem, Ewald. I'm always willing to talk about stuff, unless it's with Sierra. Have you ever talked with that bitch?
I'll leverage my Rizian contacts to finalize the deal.
Oh, our allies in the Golden Kingdom will step in where Sordland couldn't.
Will they? Will they now? Where are you going to get that money from, friendo? Congress shot down the deal where you could sell more of your company. Unless you haven't sold up to 20%.
Before we conclude, Ewald, I've set aside time during this meeting for President Rayne to discuss concern about Gassam's treatment of workers and its repercussions on Narble. The Labor Union and the Communist Party of Sordland have garnered significant support, capitalizing on the anxieties of many Gassam workers concerned about job security.
Alphonso nodded and looked at me. Well, I'm not going to start by saying these concerns threaten my administration. That's a weak standing point. I'm not going to say let's fuck off. I'm just going to say Gassam stands as a global energy powerhouse. It's only right they give back somewhat.
Let's mull it over. Do you have a proposal in mind, Mr. President?
I expect Gassam to contribute significantly to local charities to aid the city's recovery.
Mr. President, Gassam already contributes significantly to Sordland's economy.
That's not what I said, Ewald.
Our contributions to Sordland's economy are substantial. Our focus must remain on maintaining that.
We're all in agreement that we should do more for the local community. Let's move forward with that in mind.
We're all in agreement, Gus. Now it's time to turn that agreement into action.
I agree. It's time for us to...
Suddenly, the meeting was interrupted. The quiet murmur of a conversation from outside the room grew louder. Murmur, 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 followed by the sound of hurried footsteps. Somebody's running like they got a limp or something. A member of the private security team entered the room, his face taut with urgency. He approached Alphonso and leaned in to whisper something in his ear. Ewald nodded solemnly, his gaze meeting mine with a serious intensity.
Gentlemen, it seems we have an unexpected situation outside. Some protesters from the labor union have blocked the main the automobile exits. Katerina Horton and Dennis Stoller seem to be leading the group. It would be difficult to leave the way we came without causing trouble.
Well, that's a pickle. What's our move, Ewald?
Okay, this makes me feel really good that I didn't listen to Gus about his shit. Like, he should be asking what's my fucking move, right? He should be working for me. But we know who his real daddy is.
I have a helicopter ready. We can leave undetected and avoid the chaos and potential danger.
I disagree, Ewald. I think we should face the crowd head on. This might be an awful stupid idea.
That is your prerogative, Mr. President. Following the violent events late, though, I heavily recommend against facing any crowd.
Mr. President, I advise you to leave via helicopter, just in case. I can stay back and update the crowd on the discussions today.
I definitely don't want you doing that, Gus. Hey, Serge, what's up? My main man Serge coming in.
Mr. President, I've discussed the situation with the Presidential Guard and the police security. They're advising us not to go out the way we came in. More police are on the way. You must make a decision, Mr. President.
Everyone waited. The tense silence of the room stood in stark contrast to the buzz of the ever-growing crowd outside. Oh no, what am I going to do? I cannot end on this cliffhanger. We need to find out what's going to happen. We're going to leave the Gassam facility. A volatile situation has emerged outside the Gassam facility, with a sizable crowd of protesters amassing, their grievances fueled by underlying tensions. They present a complex scenario for us to navigate. The decisions on our course of action could dramatically influence the outcome of the situation. I'm not going to run away. I hope I don't get murdered. I'm going to address the protesters and leave via car. I'm going out the way I came in. As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gassam facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gus Manger stood to my right, his silhouette barely distinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Serge stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. Oh! Was that you, Serge? The Gassam security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My Presidential Guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Stoller and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone towards me. Let's see, I could talk about Gassam becoming a beacon. I think we're gonna... Man, I should do one of the two things. Before you... I don't want to say too rash. Good people of Narble, we are here not to placate you with false promises, but to honestly assess the reality and work towards practical solutions. Okay, the first thing you have to do when there's a problem is you have to address the problem. So we're gonna do that. We recognize that words are not enough, and only through concrete action can we begin to address the challenges that you face.
Empty words, Rayne. You've shown us nothing concrete today. We're fed up with your hollow rhetoric.
I haven't been president that long, you fucking whore!
All talk and no action, isn't it, Mr. President? How long must the workers wait for real change?
Now hold on a moment. President Rayne is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative.
Gus, I don't know if you're helping. I don't know that you're helping.
Is that so, Manger? Is that so, Manger? All we've seen are decisions that favor the likes of you and Ewald Alphonso, not the common workers.
It's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring a fair, dignified life for the working class, something your policies have consistently failed to do.
Okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like being like, Stoller, what do you know about working class? You're an academic and a lawyer. I'm tempted to do that because our guy is actually working class. Our character grew up poor. I'm not going to say change is slow and gradual. That don't put food on the table. I'm going to be like, I understand your skepticism, Denny. but I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. Things need to change.
Your words are compelling, President Rayne, but can they truly outweigh the years of corporate dominance?
That's a good question. See, now I've got him on my side. He's starting to question.
Your intentions sound noble, President Rayne, but intentions alone don't feed families or pay bills. We need concrete actions. It's clear from your lack of commitment to education that you don't fully comprehend the scope of the challenges faced by our workers' families.
Oh man, have you been talking to that bitch Sierra?
Your neglect of our nation's healthcare system will harm millions.
I haven't had a chance to adjust the budget. Don't tell them I'm probably not going to put more money into both of those.
Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming workers' rights bills. The labor force of Sordland will be watching your next step. Move closely.
Furthermore, we want reform, reduce the election threshold, and change the Constitution to make a more democratic, a more fairer nation.
Oh, scroll is real bad for some reason. I wish I could do this one. I could. How dare you speak to your president like that? We're not doing that. We're not doing that one. I'm not going to say, I understand we can't do everything at once. I understand the concerns and frustrations of many of you, as does my closest advisor, Mr. Mustapheles. Get bent, bitches! Rest assured, we are here, we are listening, and we are committed to addressing these issues. As long as I don't have to spend any money.
What did you say?
I want to fix things. Despite the sharp words exchanged, the crowd remained eerily calm. It seemed like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Maybe we need to sing. Maybe they want a musical number. Suddenly, a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards me. Wait, haven't we seen this bitch before?
The locals of Narble have suffered under the impact of Gassam for years. What concrete steps is Gassam going to take for the benefit of the local community?
Oh, I love number 4. Number 4 is, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Gassam has done so much for this shithole region. Man, it would be fun to do an asshole run. The discussions with Gassam are an ongoing process, and I am committed to finding the best possible outcome for the workers of Narble. I understand your frustrations. Be assured, I will push harder in the negotiations. The well-being of Narble's workers is my priority.
At least you're not hiding your lack of progress anymore. Mere determination won't solve the workers' problems. We need results.
And until we get them, we will continue to fight.
The crowd roared back to life. I could practically feel the raw anger emanating from them. My guards took a step forward.
Time is a luxury we don't have, Mr. President. Each passing day is another day our workers suffer under the heel of inequality.
The undercurrent of unrest swelled, threatening to surge into full-blown tempest. The previous calm seemed like a distant memory, an illusion shattered by the harsh reality of discontent. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The Red Youth had arrived. The Commie Kids! I realized this was no longer a mere protest. It was the symbol of a broad, more potent struggle. The police began reorganizing their ranks, adopting defensive postures.
Could you shed some light on the possible deal between the Sordish government and Gassam? What role does the Kingdom of Rizia play in this arrangement?
I feel like I shouldn't answer any more questions. I don't like any of these answers. We believe Rizia is capable of handling the investments? What? I don't like the Rizia thing at all. I don't think it's gonna work. I can say Rizia's invested in Sordland before, and I have faith in them. I don't. I can say we have confidence in Rizia. I don't there. These answers are all bad. What the fuck? Usually this game has good choices. Our government has chosen not to invest at this time. We believe Rizia is capable of handling the investment. I don't, but whatever. Giving us the opportunity to focus our resources on other pressing issues.
So you're putting the fate of our workers in the Kingdom of Rizia's hand? That's a dangerous game you're playing, Mr. President.
Relinquishing control to a monarchy? You are aware of Rizia's history of stamping out disagreements with brute force.
I didn't say I agreed with any of these. Close by, I noticed a terse exchange between a security officer from Gassam and a member of the Presidential Guard. Serge craned his neck, his face deep in concentration as he listened to their whispers.
Mr. President, the situation is growing increasingly volatile. I recommend that we expedite your departure. We must prioritize your safety.
Are you sure, though, Serge? Won't running away from this make the protesters angrier?
Serge is right, Mr. President. The crowd won't get any calmer if you stick around. We've got to get you to safety.
Leaving so soon, Rayne? I guess you know when you've been defeated.
You can't even face your own people, can you, Mr. President? We expected better.
Hey, I haven't gone anywhere yet, you fuckfaces! This might be a mistake. I'm gonna get a little more aggressive with her. You claim to advocate for the workers, yet undermine our efforts to better their conditions. Shouldn't you be supporting the initiatives we fought for instead of spreading discontent?
One final question. What is your true personal relationship with you?
Out of nowhere, a man lunged towards me from the crowd. I bet he wants to give me a hug. He probably just wants to hug me. Before I could react, Serge sprang in front of me. He swiftly tackled the man to the ground and pinned his hands behind his back. Everyone, calm down. Let's all chill out. You're all being really douchebaggy right now. Serge left my dazed attacker on the ground and turned to the guards with a look of authority I'd never seen before. Serge just slapped his dick on the table and said, "Nobody fucks with my president." Hey, I paid for his kid's education, you know? Good for him.
Protect the president!
Serge, you're not... His voice carried over the screams of the crowd. The guards tightened their circle around me, hurriedly pushing me towards the safety of the convoy. Serge, no! We're trying to de-escalate! Serge, what have you done?
Everyone remain calm.
Police and security forces rushed into the melee, swinging batons with indiscriminate ferocity. The red youth rushed at them head-on.
Into the car, Mr. President! We're leaving now!
Katerina and Dennis raised their hands in a plea for calm, their words nearly lost amidst the turmoil.
Stop the cops! This isn't going to help!
Back off! Back off! You're making things worse!
The staff and I were swiftly escorted into the convoy. No! I was still discussing with them! The protesters and police scattered as our vehicles plowed through the crowd. Oh no! I hope we're not hitting people! No! The screams receded in the background as we left the chaotic scene behind. I thought we were making some progress there. For a while there, the crowd kind of got quiet, and then, oh my god. Do we dare look at the news of what happened? Holstered posts, disrupted rebels mar president's address. Their disruptive tactics only served to deepen the divide among the people. Oh man, we were trying to do the opposite. A missed opportunity. From Sordland today, President's address at Gassam. The much-anticipated address by President Rayne at the gates of Gassam fell short of expectations. Despite the mounting concerns of Gassam workers and the people of Narble, the president's speech was found lacking in substance and clarity. I did nothing but speak for the rights of the people. Unprecedented incident at Gassam headquarters and a dramatic turn of events at the gates of Gassam. A hostile individual lunged at President Anton Rayne, leading to a swift intervention by bodyguard and presidential driver Serge. Oh, Serge made the paper. Good for him. The shocking incident unfolded amidst high tension, casting a spotlight on the ongoing struggles and social unrest. These dramatic scenes further underscore the urgent need for meaningful dialogue and swift action to address the workers' grievances. I was trying to. You know, the guards for Gassam did not help the situation. Serge Walkner, working class hero. The recent incident where an individual lunged at the president brought an unexpected hero to the fore. Serge Walkner, bodyguard and driver by profession, Walkner risked his life to protect the president, reminding us of the working class's role in keeping this country running. Walkner, a true representative of the working class, stands in stark contrast to the privileged Anton Rayne, highlighting the deep divide between the haves and have-not. So I grew up poor, too. I was a have-not. Oh. Well, I tried to do everything right I could, and like life sometimes goes, sometimes you try to do it right, and I guess it don't work out. Oh, and the workers aren't getting anything they want from Gaslam. Well, everybody, I'll see you next time. That was a shit show.